flu is on the move. The virus has arrived in yet another province.
They're concerned about any health problem that's on the mainland. It's not going to stay there.
Showing the vaccine only thought to be 10% effective.
Nationwide, there are already more than 41,000 cases confirmed. Every state in the country reporting widespread flu activity.
As of this morning, 18 countries around the world have reported cases of the flu within their borders.
Numbers out of Australia as of mid-October are concerning. If you get sick, stay home.
Superpowers, Year 1 by Drew Hayes. I am permanently on the lookout for a good series, and if it's not a good series, just a really long, good story. I love long stories, long books, something you really can get lost in, but especially now because I have a lot of traveling coming up. I have one trip to New York coming up, driving there, flying back, a work trip to New York, so a lot of time hanging out in airports, and also a vacation coming up in October, which is going to be a lot of time in airports, again, waiting for flights, and while I'm laying on the beach. I'm basically an audiobook junkie. I've seen this book advertised on Audible quite a bit. I've never really heard of Drew Hayes in any other way. Don't know anyone that's read his stuff. Maybe it's because I live under a rock. But for whatever reason, I've never actually read any of his stuff. Now after doing a little digging, it seems like he's kind of a big deal. But regardless, the first book on Audible is 26 hours, or just over 26 hours, which alone is worth 1 credit. But I go for less than a credit, so ultimately, totally worth the money. Just based on the reviews, which are outstanding. I think it's over 7,000 reviews and it's nearly 5 stars, which is just about unheard of. But that doesn't always mean it's a good book. There's plenty of books that I've come across with good reviews that I haven't really liked. Regardless, I figured I'd give it a shot. I was a little apprehensive. It seemed a little bit kind of kiddish to me, kind of reminded me almost of Harry Potter, except superheroes. But basically right away, as soon as I started listening to it, and not only was I hooked, but I was thrilled because this is a fairly long series. I noticed that the 4th book, or year 4, just came out, which is crazy long. I actually think it's over 60 hours, which is outstanding, especially if it's a good story. I can really get lost in it. Plus there's that spin-off book I saw, Corpies, whatever that's about. But it seems like they get progressively longer after year 1. Year 2 is 32 hours. Year 3 is 41 hours. And then, like I said before, year 4, over 60 hours. After finishing the first book, I liked it so much that I went out and I bought basically the rest of the series, including Corpies, as well as one of Drew Hayes' other books. I think it's called NPCs, strictly based on the ratings. But I only bought the first book in that series because I don't know who the narrator is. Speaking of which, the narrator for Superpowers did, in my opinion, an outstanding job with just the massive cast, keeping all the voices unique, of which Roy and Herschel are probably my favorite. Just because of the contrast between the two and Roy's pure arrogance in everything that he does. But it's not just the arrogance, it's how it's done. It's written really cleverly, and you can tell right away that this Roy character definitely has got some growing to do. Really liked what he did with the two characters sharing the same body, basically. Like he's So basically, Drew Hayes invented his own universe. He does make a mention of comics, makes a mention of Marvel, calling it Carvel, and DC. I forgot what he called DC, but it's kind of funny that he added that in there. But another thing with these books being so long is he's able to take a big cast, just a really big cast of characters, like I said, for example, with Herschel and Roy, and develop little by little. But because these books are so long, Drew Hayes is able to do an excellent job of taking these characters and developing over a long period of time, and create a big cast and do it gradually, all the while intertwining kind of an intricate storyline in the background. For example, with Nick, when he's typing into his computer, basically keeping a journal and then sending it off. Where's that going? That's kind of in the beginning of the book. Now, I have a feeling that that's going to play a bigger role, but in this book, that question is not answered. So, like I said, before I was even done with this book, I bought the whole series. So I'm just thrilled that I have weeks and weeks and weeks of books to listen to and really just get lost in this series. Now, that's only a good thing because these books are excellent, cleverly written, good characters, drastic differences between the characters, and time to really make them vivid. Now, obviously, if the book stunk, really wouldn't be a good thing that it's really long. You'd be waiting for it to end. But to be honest, I was kind of sad when it did end, but that's okay. I got 4 more books to listen to. But hey, that's just me. That's just what I thought about these books. I'm curious to see what you guys thought of them. Please let me know in the comments below. As I said before, I'm kind of late to the game. I can't wait to get going in the rest of the series. The only other kinds of books that usually have these long storylines with vast characters typically end up being the fantasy. I am thrilled that it's kind of a sci-fi with superheroes, and he's inventing his own Marvel universe or whatever. Like I said, he poked fun at that in the book with the jab to Carvel instead of Marvel, and so on. I'm wondering if he was a little influenced with X-Men. It kind of has that X-Men feel, like it's Xavier's school. Kind of has similar characters with Mr. Numbers and Mr. Transport, which, by the way, a funny little side note, I actually got a great courses off of Audible. They had a sale recently, and I got it for like $5. It was a book on the stock market taught by some finance doctor. And if you haven't checked out the Great Courses series, I strongly recommend it. They have an excellent series on history, but this one happened to be the stock market. But what's funny to me is that the professor in that series sounded to me just like Mr. Numbers in these books. So I had a little bit of a hard time taking them seriously because I kept thinking about this book and Mr. Numbers teaching a course on the stock market, which is good because the stock market is totally boring. Finance and economics is totally boring, and that kind of helped me get through the course. I'll post a link for that down below as well, and I can't wait to hear your comments about this book, because like I said, I can't really say enough good things about it. Love the narrator, love the author, love the characters, except maybe Nick. I know he's going to be seems like he's going to be kind of a cornerstone of the story, but to be honest, he's my least favorite character, and I can't wait to see where the series is going. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you next time.